Under the orange awning, KTM's weekend read like a controlled exit strategy. First a formal goodbye to two-time 250SX East champion Tom Vial, then a carefully worded thank you to Chase Sexton after 2 seasons on the 450SXF. On paper, that communique was just a courtesy note. In practice, it closed a chapter that delivered exactly what KTM paid for 7 of 11 pro motocross overalls and the 2024 450MX title, a 2025 Supercross campaign that missed the crown by 2 points, and a career-best 9 450SX wins across the stint, 7 this season, including Anaheim 1. Outdoors this summer flat-spotted, the title defense fizzled, and the playoff run ended with more grit than glory, but the ledger still shows a national championship and a mountain of development data. The subtext, which no one in Mattighofen bothered to hide, is that Sexton is moving on for 2026. The consensus destination remains Monsterenergy Kawasaki. That remains matters. It suggests momentum, not certainty. The fit is logical. Kawasaki needs a prime age closer with clean technique and late moto pace. Sexton gets a Japanese platform that may better match his corner entry precision and whoop stability after 2 years learning KTM's steel frame feedback loop. But logic doesn't sign contracts. If there's one thing this cycle has shown, it's how fast the ground shifts when sponsors, injury timelines, and playoff results collide. Until the bike cover comes off in a public shakedown, it's prudent to treat even well-sourced done deals as pending. The Tomac piece is where doubt legitimately enters the chat. For weeks the paddock shorthand was simple: Tomac to KTM for 2026. Lately that's gotten fuzzier. The strongest version of the rumor is that any KTM arrangement sat at letter of intent or handshake level, not a fully executed contract. That nuance opens a door Kawasaki and Monsterenergy can walk through now that Jorge Prado's program has unraveled and budget lines are suddenly freer. If Monster wants to repatriate its most bankable U.S. star for one last big swing, the mechanisms exist. Still, this isn't 2018. Tomac won't jump just for color. He walked from green the first time because he felt boxed in on setup latitude. A reunion only tracks if Kawasaki is willing to integrate his long-standing brain trust, suspension, chassis feel, mapping cadence, and concede genuine veto power when the bike's window narrows. Without those levers, the KTM move, factory resources, test volume, championship culture, remains the cleanest path. There's also the technical layer people gloss over. KTM's steel perimeter frame offers a different kind of front-end message under load than the Japanese aluminum spars. Some riders swear it gives a broader traction window on choppy exit and better compliance on edges. Others feel it blurs the limit when you're skimming whoops or braking late on slick hardpack. Sexton adapted enough to win a national and stacked stadium wins, but his hallmark is micro-precision at tip-in. Kawasaki's KX450, especially with factory latitude on flex parts and clamps, may give him back the razor he used on Red. Tomac is trickier. His high-commitment rear bias acceleration and mid-whoop composure have worked on both architectures. The real question is not frame material. It's whether the team around him mirrors the autonomy he enjoyed at Star Yamaha. If yes, green is viable. If not, orange is still the shortest road to contention. The business layer may be the most volatile. Red Bull versus Monster isn't just branding. It dictates who pays for which test block, which content days you owe, and how much leverage each party has when schedules pinch. Prado's exit from Kawasaki appears to have freed Monster to reallocate 7-figure resources. That makes a Tomac deal plausible, but plausible isn't finalized, and the longer this lingers in the gray zone, the more you have to account for a third variable: timing. By the time off-season durability work, SX chassis iterations, and new ECU packages are in mid-cycle, switching horses is costly. If Tomac rides even a week of structured testing with KTM, inertia begins to favor orange. If he rolls a private KX 450 evaluation with a suspension lead and walks out smiling, pencil in green. Until either picture surfaces, skepticism is warranted. KTM's internal board is equally interesting. Thanking Sexton and parting with Vial in the same breath looks like a reset rather than a retreat. They banked the 2024 outdoor crown, a near miss in 25SX, and 2 years of data on how to get starts, whoops, and late moto stability where they want them. That clears space for the next 450 spearhead, be it a veteran closer or a younger build. The one thing they can't afford is a protracted Tomac courtship that ends in a no, because the rest of the grid is already assigning test weeks and crew chiefs. If Tomac drifts back toward Kawasaki, KTM will pivot fast. The brand's competitive identity doesn't allow for gap years. And Kawasaki? Replacing both a public divorce, Prado, and an aging vacancy, post-Anderson, with Sexton as a prime age anchor and possibly Tomac as a short-term sledgehammer would flip the narrative overnight. It would also create an internal pecking order puzzle. You don't bring two alphas into the same room without crystal-clear roles. One path is obvious. Sexton as the multi-year cornerstone, Tomac as the year 1/2 assassin who mentors and then exits to a hybrid test/ambassador role. That can work if the technical autonomy we've already discussed is written, not implied. What does any of this change for fans expecting clarity right now? Not much. What is confirmed? KTM formally closed the Sexton chapter after a productive 2-year run and wished him well. The working expectation remains Sexton in green for 2026. Tomac's destination is the swing vote. KTM is real. A Kawasaki return is suddenly credible, and neither camp has put ink in front of a camera. Read every breathless. Announcement soon. Post with a raised eyebrow until there are photos of laps. The smartest stance today is analytical caution. Acknowledge the momentum lines, map the sponsor budgets and technical demands, and leave room for a late twist. In other words, keep the conclusions you already had. Sexton to Kawi likely, Tomac unresolved, but hold them lightly. The only thing certain in this cycle is that nothing is certain until the gate drops on a brand new bike.